I want to ask you about another thing that I've been writing about in my concierge coverage newsletter for a few days and talking about here on Two Way. Every political party, every White House has an interest in undermining the strength of the organizations and politicians who help the other side, right? That's like a basic thing. So, for instance, Karl Rove understood that labor unions were a big part of the Democratic Party coalition in the 1990s and headed into the aughts. And so Karl looked for opportunities to diminish the political power of unions, just as the Democrats say, you know, if the Koch brothers are a big valuable asset for the Republicans, let's do a lot of oppo on the Koch brothers, the Koch organization, and put that out. It's very common. But I think what's happening now is there's a confluence that's really helping the Republicans, which is the Democrats and their allied institutions, Hollywood, labor, the media, universities, woke corporate CEOs are all very weak right now, and they're kind of discombobulated. And this, as the New York Times reports in a new story, the Trump operation, not just the White House, but their allies, are extremely good at undermining the opposition and put a very high priority on it and know how to use the tricks of the trade, including digital things, to not just laugh at the opposition as they lay on the ground, but to walk over to them, if I may use the metaphor, and put both boots on the neck of the opposition and say, "I'm not leaving till you're dead." So, Kristen, am I right that this is it's not unprecedented, but what's happening now is both significant and bigger than the norm?
It's louder for sure, but I mean that's been, I mean that is Trump's brand. Trump has been again, we've never had a president who has been on TV and been a bigger than life person, and so when he acts, it echoes probably three times the amount that it would have been if Bill Clinton or George Bush or someone else would have done it. So I think it's louder for sure. I think that Trump has a gift that no one else does, where he knows the buttons to push that will hit the American electorate. You know what I mean? There are just
I
things that he knows. If I say this,
I
it's
agree.
going to.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. But it's more than Trump, right? Like, who name anyone in the history of the left of the Democratic Party who has the bag of tricks that Charlie Kirk has or Steve Bannon has?
Well, I would say so. I not to diminish what those guys do, but I would say that it still all stems from Trump. There's no power source like Trump on the left. So Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and everyone on the internet who can retweet, and like all the folks who go on TikTok and Truth and name your poison there, they still have Trump as the source.
Yeah,
Democrats don't have that.
yeah.
These
I
guys never
I
gonna do it. So I don't. I mean, not to discredit them. I think they're very gifted and they can reach an audience, but they don't get the loud boom that they're getting right now without Donald Trump.
I agree with that, but I still think that they just don't. Not only do they not have any analogs today on the other side, I don't know of any analogs in my career of people who wake up every day and say, what are the five things I'm going to do to help Trump, and what are the five things I'm going to do to destroy the other side's institutions?
I don't know about that. I think, and maybe I mean, to your point, yes, it's a little bit more intense now. But go back and think through like 2004 and that election, and mostly centered around the Iraq War. I mean, think just from there was a lot of student organizations, a lot of Swift boat. I mean, there were so many different things that
Yeah.
were enacted at a different time, but it was overwhelming. So if you were, someone that, went to a rally, you were going to get harassed from your car to the door in an aggressive way if you were in Pennsylvania or Ohio or any of those states.
Yeah. So again, Alex, I jump in here, but
Yeah.
the Swift Boat Veterans for Truth weren't active for very long, and they had one mission: destroy John Kerry.
Mhm.
Right.
These groups and individuals are trying to destroy not just Democrats, individual Democrats, although there's so few strong leaders, I'm not even sure they're targeting the individuals so much. But they're saying we're going to destroy the University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We're going to destroy CAA. We're going to destroy these woke CEOs and break their back and make them
Mhm.
give $1 million to Trump. So, Alex, I'm not sure if Chris and I really disagree that much, but
Yeah.
how do you see Trump Inc.'s orientation towards this project of destroying the weakening institutions of the left?
Yeah, you have a broad network of conservative and pro-Trump outlets or platforms that are very focused on on cultural issues where they believe the public is on their side and where they think Democrats are weak. And I'll just say this, if you were to go to the Spotify top podcast list right now, it is very hard to find any Democrats on that list.
Gavin Newsom.
With the exception, right. So you have, with the exception of Gavin Newsom, who's not really doing a traditional liberal podcast. He's just not. You have Pod Save America, but you go up and down that list and it is dominated by conservatives. And here's the issue is that's how people are getting their information now. They're getting it through streaming platforms. And that's speaking on a streaming platform. And that's how people are getting their information. So Democrats just aren't anywhere in this battle, it doesn't seem.
I'll tell
Well,
you. Go ahead, Kristen.
I would just say, I mean, when you say that and then dominating the platform, it just reminds me of Rush Limbaugh. I mean, really, like that was the early phase of this. No, there was no Democrat. I would argue there was no Democrat comparison to Rush Limbaugh and the rise of conservative talk radio. I think that's kind of what you're seeing now, just on a different platform, and we are pioneering it first. I mean, I would argue that some of the liberal shows or ones that liberals listen to are going to be, things like Call Her Daddy and even like the Kelsey Girl podcast. Like they're more targeted to the liberal audience, and they do it in a subtle way. But yeah, I mean, you're right. There's no comparison. They will catch up, similar to how on the left they caught up somewhat on the radio side, or evolved, I would
Yeah.
say.
I'll tell you, Alex, the one other exception is that this Midas touch.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Sure.
they're very popular, and I'm
Sure.
intrigued by how popular they are.